Welcome. So in this video, we'll be answering this question before us. It says a cricket ball and tennis ball are thrown in the air simultaneously. The path of the cricket ball and tennis ball are modeled by the equations this and this respectively. Cx and Tx represents the height of the ball above the ground in meters, and x represents the time after which the ball is thrown in seconds. For part A, we need to state the time in seconds the cricket ball is in the air, and we have to answer to 3 decimal places. So before we launch into this, what we're going to do is simply define in our CAS what we've been given. So let's come here and let's just simply type out our equation for the cricket ball. So we're going to go C of x, then we're going to go control this, negative 1 on 4, x squared plus 4x plus 1. And then we'll do the same for our tennis ball here. So t of x, control this, negative a half x squared plus 6x plus 1, like that. So now that we've defined it, let's look at part A and ask ourselves what it's asking of us. So it says state that the time in seconds the cricket ball is in the air. It might help us here to graphically represent what we're doing. So control doc, let's add a graph. We're dealing with the cricket ball, so let's just graph that. As you can see, the C is in bold because we've defined it. And now we might just have to make sure that we can see what we're dealing with here. So graph window, and we can just go fit like that. You might even want to go menu, window zoom, box. Let's just deal with this. Nice. So we know that our y-axis is the height above the ground, and x represents the time after which it's thrown in seconds. So obviously this is representing the height. So when my height is 0, it's no longer in the air. So I just need to figure out what this point right here is. So my x-intercept, menu, analyze graph, 0, from here to here. And as you can see, I'm getting 16.2. Now it's important that we recognize that it says answer to 3 decimal places. So what we would have to do here is go menu, settings, and just increase our float. Let's go float 7. And now we're getting more points. So our answer is going to be 16.246. Now, do you see how this is worth 2 marks? That means we're going to have to provide a line of working. So just the answer isn't going to suffice here. So we need to write down what exactly we've done here. Well, we've found the x-intercept, and what does that mean? Well, it means that we have solved it for when our function is equal to 0 for x. So in other words, we've let y equal 0 and we've solved for x. So if we were to do this in this part of the CAS, what we've done is we've gone menu, we've gone algebra, we've gone solve, c of x is equal to 0 for x, and those are giving us our exact values. Remember, we want it to 3 decimal places, so let's go control this, and we only care about the positive one. Obviously we don't care about the negative one, so over here that doesn't exist, so we just care about this one. So now when we come here, we need to make sure that we're providing enough working to get those full 2 marks. So what we're going to do is we're going to go, we've gone c of x is equal to 0, and we've solved it for x, and we're saying that x is going to be equal to 16.246 seconds. So we've got 1 line of working, and then we've got our answer here to the correct decimal places. Let's now move on to our next one. Let's get a highlighter out. State the time in seconds the tennis ball is equal to or above 10 meters high. Answer to 3 decimal places. So again, it might be helpful here just to give it a bit of a graph. So tab, and let's type in t of x, like that. And we want to know when it's equal to or above 10 meters high. So if I was to do that, I would hit tab again, I would type in 10, and that's just going to give me a horizontal line here. So obviously where it's above 10 meters high is this portion right here. So to figure out the total amount of time that it's equal to or above 10 meters high, I would simply subtract this from this. So I need to find the intersection points, and then subtract this from this. Now, if you wanted to do it here, you could. You'd have to go Analyze Graph. You'd have to go Intersection, click on the two things you're after, and then do the same thing again. So this one and the red graph from here to here. And now you would take 10.242 and subtract it from 1.757. So that's one way of doing this. The other way of doing this, and remember this is worth 2 marks, so we're going to have to show this line of working, is we're going Menu, we're going Algebra, we're going Solve, we're taking t of x, we're setting it equal to 10, and we're finding x. So in other words, we're finding the intersection point between t of x and the horizontal line of 10. And when we do that, whoops, that's giving us exact values again. So remember, you have to hit Control, then this. We're getting these out. So now I'm taking this and I am subtracting it from this. And my answer is going to be 8.485. So that means now what we're going to do is I'm going to write down exactly what I've done here. So I have taken, let me get an actual pen or a highlighter. I've taken t of x, I've set it equal to 10, solve for x. I figured out that x was equal to 10.2426 and x was also equal to 1.75736. I then subtracted these from each other. So I went 10.2426 minus 1.75736, and my answer was 8.485 seconds. So make sure that you've given it enough decimal places here. I believe I have. Yep, that should be good because I'm going to 3 decimals and I've provided enough there to make sure that everything is good. So that's how you would approach this type of question, making sure that you're looking at the mark scheme to make sure you're providing enough working, and also realizing that you can visualize it graphically as well as algebraically. Okay, the last question here says, oops, state the range of values of x that the tennis ball is higher than the cricket ball. So if I come here and I come here again, I know that my tennis ball is the red line and my cricket ball is this one. I want to figure out for how long the tennis ball is higher. Whoopsie daisy. Now I just deleted everything. If we hit Control Z, everything comes back. There we go. So I just wanted to get rid of these intersection points. And I could probably even get rid of that line there. So what I'm going to do is just find this intersection point right here. Menu, Analyze Graph, Intersection. From here to here, it's going to be 8 and 17. So obviously it's going to be higher, so the tennis ball is higher than the cricket ball for 8 seconds. But it says state the range of values of x. So what your answer would be is, let me grab a pen. It will be x is an element of, now you wouldn't include 0, because at 0 there would be the same height, but then you'd go all the way to 8. Now would you include 8? State the range that it's higher. That is higher than it. So that means because it's higher, we're not going to include it. We're going to go from 0 to 8, but not including 8, because at 8 they're the same height. So that means you wouldn't include 8 there. And at 0 they're also the same height. They're both there. Now it says 2 marks, so we're going to have to provide a line of working just to be safe. So what I would do here, what are we actually doing here? We're just solving for when they're equal to each other. Menu, algebra, we're solving for when t of x is equal to c of x, comma x, and as you can see, that's what we're getting. So we just took them both, we set them equal to each other, we solved for x. Perfect. And that's how you should approach these types of questions. As you can see, we're looking at the mark scheme, making sure we're providing enough working, using our CAS wisely to figure out things that are going on. And yeah, so hopefully you found this useful in going through this question, and I'll see you in the next one.